All right, everyone. Welcome to Otaku Talk. Obviously, not my normal shooting setup. A little ratchet, low quality. Um, hey, at least I get some props, and I got some devil fruits here, so that's cool. Focus on the devil fruits and like not anything else in the room. I didn't even feel like doing my backdrop. I'm gonna keep it a stack with y'all. It's been a long fucking day. The uh, the chapter dropped or quote unquote leaked late. I like to do these reviews on Thursday after work. Friday is not a good day, and today was exceptionally terrible because I had a belt promotion today for my students. So I just got home a little bit ago. I just grabbed some food a little bit ago. I am tired. I just read the chapter a little bit ago. So yeah. um Normally I would still get myself to do like an actual like legit full production video how I normally do with my camera and blah blah blah. But I'm gonna keep it a stack with y'all. Was not feeling this chapter. You guys who have been with me for a long time know that these kind of chapters I hate standalone. I standalone wise I hate these kind of chapters. Did I enjoy the chapter? Absolutely, but nothing much for me to really talk about. It went by really quickly, not because like there weren't that many pages, which I never count the pages, but one, it didn't feel like there were that many pages, but I'm sure that they were average. But like it was just a lot of like following Nami around, discovering more and more about what happened, and yada yada yada. So I'm gonna talk about it, but I'm not gonna get really really deep into it. So this is gonna be like lucky if it's like a 10-minute video. There might be some things I missed, so if that's the case, let me know, and I'll definitely go back and maybe do a follow up video or something like that. But I just don't really have anything to really talk about. So without much further ado, let's get into the review. Oh, and if this is your first time here, please like, share, and subscribe. All right, so chapter 1127 of One Piece Adventure in the Land of Mystery. So we have a cover story with Yamato and our homie Inuarashi, and they're growing concerned about the recent disappearances around Wano. So I'm glad that like that's actually being taken seriously and that's trying to be figured out. I really hope that this is something we find out in the cover story. Because I just don't see us having time to like go back to Wano or do anything in Wano. So like, and I also don't see like the relevance of these kidnappings to the grand story where like they're going to be addressed in the main continuity of the story. So hopefully that happens. So we start off the chapter and we have the giants, and they're saying that there's a fire, and they're really concerned because if the flames spread to Yggdrasil, the giant tree, then their country is done for. And so I'm probably not going to go in order. I'm just going to talk about things as they happen, and like not as they happen, but I'm going to talk about things like as I feel like. And when I read this part, something really really like made me interested, and that was so a big theory that a lot of people had before we got to Elbaf was that Yggdrasil, or I'm wondering if Yggdrasil and Adam are the one and the same. But a big theory that we had was that this would be the origins of Devil fruits. Would be the trees that the Devil fruits grew off of. I'm not sure if that's the case. We're gonna hold on to that. We're gonna table that for now. But one thing that I do think is that maybe this tree is responsible for the gigantification of the giants on Elbaf and all the like the wildlife around Elbaf. We thought that that the giant race themselves were the cause of gigantification, and that like that's just a race that existed. But I really would not be surprised to find out that like no, it's a phenomenon caused specifically by this island, specifically because of Yggdrasil and whatever properties Yggdrasil has, whatever plants Yggdrasil makes. Once you eat from it, it makes you a giant, right? Part of what makes me feel that way and supports my theory is, we had all this experimentation throughout the series on gigantification and trying to make artificial giants. And it makes even more sense if the reason that they've been so gung-ho on this research is purely because they had evidence that the giants are giants because of this naturally produced fruit or phenomenon from this tree, and so they thought maybe we can replicate it in some way, shape, or form. However, Elbaf is really protective of its resources and its stuff, and they just did not have any means of infiltrating Elbaf, like getting whatever samples from the tree that, or maybe they did get a little bit of samples from the tree and that's what they used for the basis of their research. But I'm very, very curious about that. I'm also curious about later on, you see in this chapter, some of these animals go through transformations, and I'm very, very curious about that because it kind of reminds me of, you know, Sulong form and other stuff we've seen in the series, stuff with Chopper where these animals are able to transform. So I wonder if that was happening. So like I said before, not a lot happens in this chapter, but it's not a lot of in your face stuff. I wouldn't be surprised. I can't wait to check out like Tekking, Morge, Arthur, and like some of my other favorite YouTubers, and to see like what their takeaways were, because usually a lot of them are able to gleam into things that I was not able to, or because of their fan base was able to feed them information that they otherwise wouldn't have caught, but thanks to their fan base they now know. Hopefully one day I'll get there as well. So one thing I didn't notice and that I'm noticing currently right now as I'm rereading is that like all of the fucking houses are Lego. So it's not just that castle, it's all of the houses, all of the infrastructure of this society. So I'm really wondering about that. I think it just might be a really quirky thing that Oda wanted to do to tie it back into the whole like Norse thing, because I keep forgetting if it's Dutch or whatever, like what place, but the wherever like Norse or whatever is set, the Legos were invented in that same location. So I think this is just a really cool way for Oda to just kind of like fuse that, kind of like how he did in Wano with the traditional like Japanese architecture and stuff like that. I think he was just trying to do something fancy with this, with the Lego blocks. Maybe it's possible that the Lego blocks make it easier to build houses for them, or maybe something weird about like the trees and stuff there make it so that like when they're cut down in these shapes or whatever. I don't think that's the case. I think that they develop them into the shape, they're not naturally occurring, but who the hell knows? That's the cool thing about One Piece. So these giants wonder about these like stinger moles that are like beat up and on the ground, and later on Nami runs into some like giant bug, like a giant bug, and we see that Zeus has zapped it, right? So I'm thinking, oh shit, is it Nami zapping like bugs and stuff and them falling down from the castle? No, it turned out it was the monster trio the entire time, right? Because there's even a part where it's like there was a giant tremor earlier, and it was caused by the mighty ear god collapsing, which the mighty ear god is a giant rabbit, right? And so the dude immediately says, don't be stupid, what could have hurt that enormous rabbit? So even amongst these giants, some of these animals are not only revered, but are known to be quite powerful. And so like the fact that like Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji took them out is actually quite the feat and really impressive to them. The one thing that stood out to me in this like section of the chapter though was we need to report this to the great sun god. And I'm like, isn't that Nika? So is there a Nika imposter? Is there something else that they call the sun god? Is it like a statue or an idol that they worship and pray to? So I'm really, really curious about that. Anyway, we get the name of this castle, and it's called Big Stein Castle. And I'm sticking to the theory that basically somehow they washed up ashore on Elbaf. I like the theory that they were eaten by a fish, and that fish was caught by the giants, and like when it was cut open, like they were in there. Maybe their clothes got dissolved, or maybe their clothes were smelly, and so that they decided to like change them, right? Also, speaking of the person calling Nami last chapter, when I first read this chapter, I was like, oh shit, I'm stupid. I always forget that Zeus is like a thing. Like Zeus is like a living human, like it's not human, but a living thing that stays permanently with Nami. So I'm really surprised that that wasn't one of my guesses from last chapter. I still don't think it was Zeus. After the end of the chapter, we find like towards the middle of the chapter, we found out, oh, it was Usopp calling her the entire time. But I did want to mention that, like, oh, Zeus was a guess that I don't think anyone mentioned when in terms of like who was calling out to Nami. I love the next part of this chapter because Nami is screaming, crying for someone to save her, and she basically initially asked for the monster trio, but she was like, I'll even take Usopp. Like that's kind of like bittersweet, but like she was like, I don't care. I just need someone to help me. And I love the fact that like she got her least favorite wish, right? So that was interesting. So while she's exploring, she hears Usopp's voice. She heads over to where he is. She trips on the like Lego tile, and I think that was kind of funny. Unfortunately, they're too big for her to like step on and like get hurt from. But I think this is kind of like maybe a callback to that because you see her go like youch, like it hurts. So like it's still like Legos, no matter their size, are still like injuring people. So that's hilarious. So there's this weird animal. It kind of looks like a porcupine without spikes, but then when it gets freaked out and scared, all of a sudden the spikes appear, right? And it's kind of like a mini transformation of sorts. Nami immediately runs away, and she's being chased, and she sees that Usopp is in the clutches, the jaws of this giant cat with like a crown on it, right? I'm assuming this cat is probably like the personal pet of Loki. So anyway, Nami decides to use Zeus to take out the porcupine, which she is able to do, and the porcupine, while still being electrocuted, falls on the cat and then electrocutes the cat. But the cat has a lot of durability. The cat is really tough and immediately starts attacking Nami and Usopp as well. And one thing we notice while this chase is happening, well, first, before I get into that, she has a callback to when the giant says, it's called Absinthe, the Green Fairy, it'll make you hallucinate. And a lot of theories were that, okay, maybe everyone is hallucinating, maybe this Lego thing isn't there, blah, blah, yada, yada. But it's just looking like another one of Oda's red herrings that he just put in there to freak us out. But also, I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up being like a double red herring where, like, now we've kind of dismissed it, but later on, like, just because they didn't hallucinate didn't mean others in the crew didn't hallucinate. So like we'll probably find out about that later. Honestly, there's no point in like just overthinking about it. It's just one of those things that we just have to kind of like wait and see, you know what I mean? And so I love this part. The gags are awesome, and it was just like, yeah, it probably is just an illusion, and immediately gets like fucking smacked by this cat, like slashed even, and it is fucking hilarious. And it's kind of like a really funny juxtaposition to like what happened in Egghead when they were like trying to eat like the food and like attack the monsters there, and they couldn't because they were holograms. Now they think, okay, these are holograms, we won't get hit, and now they're getting hit. So it's just super super funny, that juxtaposition. And I believe with my entire heart Oda did that intentionally, right? And so while this cat is chasing them, it turns into a lion. At first, I was confused and I was like, no, that's not the same thing. It's a different like animal just wearing a crown also. But later on, when Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro use their attacks on it, it does transform back into its original state as a cat. So I'm really, really wondering what that's about. Like I said, some theories I have are it might be some form of Sulong, like the original form of Sulong, or that they're somehow tangentially related. Um, Maybe it has something to do once again with Yggdrasil. Um, Part of me had a theory that one of the reasons that the cat wasn't affected would have to do with something with like electric abilities and the minks. So once again, we have a comparison with Sulong, and then we have this thing with electric abilities where it didn't quite hurt them, maybe because they have an electric resistance for whatever gives the minks their electro. I don't know. I'm just pulling things out my ass right now. I have no clue what's happening. And we see around Nami and Usopp some skeletons. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they don't know, who, like maybe Loki or whoever put them in this castle didn't know who they were, and then just kind of put them there as like pets for their animals. Something akin to like, you know, when you like drop like rats in a like a snake cage or whatever, or in like your animal's cage to be eaten. Maybe this is like how they do that for them as well. But my question is, why the hell like dress them and stuff like that? Maybe it was just give them a fighting chance. I don't know. That's I was hoping we were gonna find out this chapter. That's not gonna happen in this chapter. Something that pissed me off this chapter, though, I'm not gonna lie to you, is Nami, the gag with Nami using Usopp for protection. And don't get me wrong, like she's been doing this for a while, but like holy fuck, like Usopp could have died. Like first he already took that claw from like this thing in the cat form. She doesn't know that Sanji, Luffy, and like Zoro are around. So like, what happens if this like lion like eats and kills Usopp? Like, it's kind of super fucked up. Like, I'm trying to like enjoy the gag of it, but like, Nami, what the actual fuck? Also, like, have Zeus try again. Like after like it survived the first lightning attack, Nami just kind of like doesn't try Zeus again, and I'm like, why the fuck not? So like that was insane to me. But lo and behold, as they're about to be attacked, Sanji shows up, Luffy shows up, Zoro shows up. They use some powerful attacks, but not their strongest. But I do think it's kind of crazy that like they are using rather powerful attacks. That does seem kind of nutty to me. Sanji's going straight to Ifrit. Luffy's going to Gear 4. Zoro's using 3 swords. And I'm like, why? But maybe that's just to showcase like how durable and strong these animals are and how necessary it is for them to like not hold back. Anyway, after they hit him with this attack, immediately makes the animal pass out, and it turns back from a lion into a cat. Um, so Luffy talks about how tasty this cat is going to taste, and we find out after this part that that they are also responsible for the bees and the bees and the before mentioned rabbit that was felled. So I think that's really really interesting, and I guess at a certain point someone's gonna have to come and check on them because they're going to be wreaking havoc in this castle until like someone sets them straight, and I can't wait to see who that is. And wondering if that person is also going to be whoever like put them in these costumes anyway. Also, real quick, something else I wanted to talk about that I like kind of just thought about was the fact that like these things that they're killing are referred to as like gods amongst the Elbathians. So like I think it's gonna be very hilarious once people find out not only did they like kill these things that they revere or regard as gods, but they ate and devoured them. That's gonna be insane. That's gonna be hilarious. It's also giving me big Skypiea vibes where they had like the god of rain and all these other gods. So we're seeing that Elbathians just kind of like name gods. And I think we're kind of been learning that throughout the entire series that they're just either self-proclaimed gods or things that people just call gods. And so I think we're just kind of Elbath is going to be a series where we kind of put the kibosh on like what it means to be like a god in One Piece. Like we're gonna realize that like maybe there aren't any gods, just per- perception, people's perception. Anyway, Luffy's not too worried about shit. Zoro being a great right hand. Honestly, I guess we can call him the vice captain. I know the jury's still out on that. It's such a weird thing that needs to be clarified. But acting like a vice captain, he's like, let's prioritize finding the sea in our ship, and we need to establish the crew's safety. I think it's funny that he's the one saying that, but he's the one like the most inept at doing that because if he tries to do that on his own, he'll get lost. So I think that's hilarious that like he knows what needs to be done, but if he actively would try to do that on his own, everyone would be fucked. And then you have Sanji saying, if you're going after food, get more of those bees. It would be a shame to waste them because they're super nutritious. To which Nami freaks out and she's like, how are you guys taking this place in stride? Because like from the moment she woke up, her life has been in constant danger. And I just think this is just goes to show, besides like the happy-go-lucky nature of, the monster trio and such, I think it also goes to like tell a story about how, you know, in this world of One Piece, like being strong truly is being free. Like if Nami didn't have these guys around, she would be dead. If these guys weren't strong, they wouldn't be able to just carelessly like enjoy this new place. They wouldn't be able to just callously like eat and have fun and just like do whatever they want. They would have to be fighting for survival. And so I just think that once again just goes back to show that like the strong thrive and the weak suffer. And it really is the duty of the strong to protect the weak, otherwise they'll suffer as well. Anyway, like I said, not much I really want to talk about. I'm sure that there's a lot of clues and hints and tips like like throughout the series, not throughout the series, throughout the chapter that I missed that I didn't notice. But like I said, I'm tired. I'm not really looking too deep. I just wanted to be consistent and make sure I release the video. And yeah, like I said, if I missed anything, let me know. If there's anything I didn't, pay too much attention to, let me know. And oh, as we spoke, I realized that when he did his Ifrit Jambe, his Oda was consistent with having his eyebrow swirl change, so that was pretty cool. But I don't know, like I said, that's the extent of that. So I hope next chapter we get more information. I'm not ragging on this chapter. I'm not saying it's bad. This is just one of those chapters, I repeat, it's just not that great for me standalone. But like, as I'm reading the first couple like chapters of Elbaf, would definitely be way more enjoyable in like bursts. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe. Like I said, I promise my other reviews are a lot more in depth and a lot more. They're better and high quality. But it's been a long day. Anyway, take care. Peace. Bye. Have a great weekend.